Now, what I don't think you may fully understand and realize is the budgetary context in which this is being done. There is no question, even if we could rush the so-called dual-track approach, that you will have to will require an environmental impact statement. And it is a legal requirement that there is a certain amount of time for public input for that process. It's frustrating, but it has to be done. You'll have to do an EIS. If you do that, a project that is now about to be approved will be taken from the front of the line in terms of transit projects and put to the back of the line. There is no money for any project at the back of the line. And the reason for that is that the federal budget has not provided sufficient funds for public transit systems around the country. Now, in this budget, that was just, you people are all shaking your head. In this budget, you look it up if you want, there's a $300 million reduction for federal transit projects around the country. And we are not one of the transit projects that is identified in the budget. The only place that the Rail to Dulles project is identified is one of several projects in a small category for which $72 million has been put aside. Now, having said that, all of us, Tom and Frank and myself and Senator Warner and Governor King, have lobbied in every way we can with the administration. And we have gotten them to agree that despite the fact that the ridership, in other words, the cost-benefit analysis for this project is the weakest of any of its competitors in the country, this project will get $900 million if you do it now. We have that commitment. We will get it in the fall. Now, having said all that, we'd like to see a tunnel on the Tysons. The governor would like to see a tunnel on the Tysons. In fact, if I had my druthers, what I'd really like to see is a monorail system that connected all of Tysons. Because it would be flexible, it would be kind of fun, it would look aesthetically nice, it could go to the tops of stores and to the fronts of stores and so on. You wouldn't have to walk 200 yards across a parking lot with the things that you purchase. Maybe we could do that at Reston. Maybe we could do it at the airport. We could be in the 21st century with this project. But we can't do it. It's not possible. A tunnel might be possible. We are still trying to do that. Tom and I just wrote a letter to the Federal Transit Administration asking, is there any way that you will reconsider a dual-track approach, and what would be the implications? And they sent back a letter right away, and we met with them as well to make sure we understood what they were saying. We can do that. The Federal Transit Administration is willing to do that. But if they do so, it will require an EIS, and it will make it very problematic to get the $900 million in federal money. Now, there are other factors you need to be aware of before I turn this over to Tom. I'm sorry that you're hearing what you don't want to hear. I know this is a pep rally, and I'd love to be a cheerleader for you. But, lots of people can be cheerleaders. The other consideration is that Bechtel, who has a sole source contract, has delayed their submission of cost estimates by several weeks. My guess is that when they come in with their estimate, it is going to be way over budget. Now, that can do one of two things. It can mean that it doesn't qualify under any circumstances to compete with other transit projects around the state, around the country. We're out around it. The cost is much too high for the number of riders that this system can attract. Or it can mean we give up on that contractor, pay them the contingency fee, which is tens of millions of dollars, which is just gone, and we start all over. But if If we do that, we will work with the authorizing committees. I talked with the chairman, Jim Moran. Tom has talked with John Micah, the ranking member. We will do everything we can to get that money back in. But bear in mind, there are metropolitan transit systems all over the country that on paper are far more deserving, that need it more, that have much better planned areas than Tysons are in terms of maximizing use of a public transit system, who are competing for that money and have much better ridership figures. We will try to get that money if this scenario occurs, plays out. The estimate is too expensive. It takes us off the board. We'll put it at the back of the line. But it is going to be very, very difficult. And the worst thing we could do right now is to promise you something we can't deliver on. Because the money is not there for public transit. Many of you have enjoyed the tax cuts you've gotten, and you've watched all the hundreds of billions being spent in Iraq and so on. The reality is that for domestic spending, the budget doesn't have enough money for public transit investment. Period. So we're going to have to take from somebody else. It's going to be an extraordinary effort. And despite the amount of public support that exists here, it would be wrong for us to give you any kind of assurances that this can happen and that you will get a tunnel through Tysons. And instead that, we would love to tell you what you want to hear. We'd love to tell you we'll get the money. We'd love to tell you that we'll find a way to get lower estimates. And we'd love to tell you that the Federal Transit Administration will approve this project. We can't do that. Now, I'm sorry that I'm not telling you anything you want to hear. And frankly, I hope I'm wrong. But I want to leave you with this. When the governor made this decision, he was acting on the basis of people who analyzed this very carefully. People whose professional judgment he had to respect. And he was acting on the basis of what all of us have been told by the Federal Transit Administration. If you don't move forward now and get this money, it is very unlikely you will get it in the future. And that's why he made the decision he made. And that's why Tom and Frank sent the letter that they sent, urging the governor to make that decision. And the governor was influenced by that because he respects Tom and Frank. And I do as well, and I respect the governor. And I'm not crazy about the Federal Transit Administration, but they are also acting within very severe budget limits and according to a law that applies to everybody around the country. So that's the situation, and we'll be happy to respond to any questions, and you're going to hear from people, and I'm sure none of them are going to represent as much of a downer as I do. But we might as well get this stuff on the table so that you know where we stand and what the situation is. And now let's see if Tom can speak and lighten me up a little bit. Okay?